Wanted to kind of get an idea of your background.
Yeah, I have mostly grown up in this area. I was born in Long Beach, which is very close to where it's just north of Orange County where I live now.
Okay.
And I've always grown up in this general area, within a 20-mile radius, maybe 30 miles max. I've been in this area. The only time it was I'm not a Mormon anymore, but I used to be a Mormon, and I served a mission in Canada, in Quebec and parts of Ontario. So I lived in Canada during those 2 years when I was a Mormon missionary.
How do you like Canada? How was it there? Did you enjoy Canada?
I did. It's a beautiful country, and I would love to go back as a non-missionary, just as a general person. I would love to go back and just experience it through different lenses. Plus, that was a long time ago, so I'm sure Canada has changed a lot since I was there. But yeah, beautiful country, great people, and on LinkedIn, I am meeting so many amazing people who are from Canada. I don't know what they're putting in the water there, but there's just great people in Canada.
You're absolutely right. I've met quite a few from Canada, and they are, they are phenomenal. That I have to agree with you. So you walk each day.
Sometimes I look at LinkedIn or social media or what have you, but it's best when I just wake up, have some water, and then hydrate a bit, and then go right into meditation, because before you have all this input, our brain waves are optimal when we meditate shortly after waking up. But I don't always follow my own rules. Sometimes I look at social media or other things, and I have other distractions, and then I end up meditating later. But I meditate almost every day. In the last year, I probably have hardly missed a day of meditation. Maybe 3 to 5 days that I've missed meditation in a whole year. And I always miss it, or I always feel off my game when I don't meditate. It really has impacted my life.
See, that's great. That's that you left your job, right? You resigned from your job. You telling me?
No, it wasn't my choice. No, I was laid off due to the pandemic. I had been with my company almost just shy of 18 years, and I was laid off due to the pandemic. So it wasn't initiated by me. It was initiated by them. And it just at my store location, there were 4 of us that were permanently laid off.
Yes.
And all of us had been with the company a long time. So we were all presumably making higher salaries. And the company was moving in the direction of having mostly 3-day employees.
Yes.
And those of us who were laid off were 4- and 5-day employees. So I think that combination of, I imagine we were making higher salaries because of how long we had been with the company.
What was your background there? What were you doing, Dave?
I was in home furnishing sales and interior design consulting. So that was my primary role, was directly helping customers furnish their homes and, helping them with design. But I also had secondary roles, and I've had a number of secondary roles in my tenure there, but one of them was that I was the customer experience leader, which was a very broad role that had everything to do with enhancing the customer experience, and also onboarding new hires. We had a half-hour meeting every day that was enhancing the skills of the team in some way. It may be rolling out new product. It may be helping them with their selling skills. It may help them also on topics such as wellness. So it was very well-rounded. So we would have, I was involved in organizing these meetings, and everybody participates in leading the meetings. I would
Oh, okay.
facilitate the meetings sometimes, but then
Mhm.
I would assign other people so everybody participates in leading morning meetings.
Wonderful.
And we learn things best, I think, when we have to teach it. And
Mhm.
so sometimes people would challenge themselves, and they would take an area where they felt not as strong, and they would, as a challenge, they would take that topic on for their own personal growth, which I think is really admirable when people challenge themselves that way. So yeah, sometimes people would take on topics that were like a weakness for them, and uh,
Yes.
they learn it so much deeper when they are
Oh,
teaching it to other
good.
people.
That's really good. Well, let me ask you this. But with the all of the knowledge and the skill set that you have now, David, what are you doing with all of this? What you doing with all this gold? All this golden nugget? I'm serious. What are you planning to do with all of this? What are you gonna do?
Well,
What you just told me that could help a lot of people, David.
thank you. Yeah, I've been kind of plunged into the great unknown, when I lost my job. And uh, I think one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that it's caused people all around the world to reevaluate their lives. Most of us were quarantined at home for long periods of time, and gave us a moment to reflect on what's really important in life. And it's caused us to reevaluate everything, our healthcare, what matters most in life, our work,
Mhm.
the way we work, what we want to be doing with our lives, our government, our leaders. We're just reevaluating everything. And the same is true for me, that when I lost my job, it was a shock, and it felt unfair or unjust, but I didn't really dwell on that. Fortunately, I was far enough along in my process that I recognized that this has the potential to be a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I really believe it will be. In so many ways, it already has been a blessing in disguise. And I feel intuitively that even bigger blessings are on the way. So anyway, my intention is to start my own venture related to personal growth and life transformation, and meditation is an important part of that, because it begins within, and it starts within. So meditation is a big part of it, but it's not all of it. It's a part of it. But my intention is to start my own venture, helping people live happier, more fulfilling lives, and to help them in their spiritual awakening and their personal transformation. But I have never been an entrepreneur before, and I have a lot to learn. And so I also want to get a job working for and with other people. And so I'm looking for work, but I'm looking for something ideally that it complements what I want to do in my own venture without being a conflict of interest. Something that helps me to develop my skill set, and my dream scenario is to have a boss who is also kind of like a mentor and will mentor me, and also even my coworkers mentoring me. That would be my ideal scenario. It's important to me. I want to do work that makes a meaningful difference in people's lives, and I'm open to how that manifests. I'm open to how that happens. So, for example, I've looked at nonprofit organizations, and maybe since that I've always worked for other people, and I've always made a lot of money for every place that I've ever worked. I've always enriched them.
Them about what? What would you do that could enrich us as small business owners?
As an employee or as a
Mhm.
consultant?
As a consultant?
Well, I could help them in their selling skills, especially selling with integrity, and that's a very important thing for me, is honesty and integrity in sales. And so I could certainly help them with sales and customer experience, creating amazing customer experiences, but also employee development, helping the employees develop themselves, and also the leaders themselves, because it begins with leadership. And also, to some degree, even just evaluating if their systems reinforce the values that they espouse. You know, they may have a mission statement that says, for example, that they value teamwork, and yet their systems are contrary to that, where they pit employee against employee against one another for commission, for example. So instead of incentivizing them to work together, they're incentivizing them to compete with one another, which is contrary to the idea of teamwork. And so anyway, to some degree, I could advise them with things like that too. Are their systems matching up with what they say they value? So those are some ways that I could contribute, I think. I do value, though, working with other people and collaborating with other people. And so, yeah, I'm actually looking to have those dual parallel tracks. I would like to work for somebody else, because another thing that I am looking to do is to create multiple streams of income. So
Okay.
that's another aspect of it. So as an employee, I would want to be an employee probably on a part-time basis, because I want to free up my time to start my own venture. But I would like to work part-time for someone else, or in a capacity where I could make my own hours. That would be a dream, if I could make my own hours. But something that would allow me to work for somebody else, because I do value that. I do enjoy that. But also free up my time so that I can start my own venture, so I can
Yes.
create multiple streams of income.
Mhm.
So that would be, to have that balance is something that I would like. Ultimately, I think I would be my own boss. But I guess I sort of need that bridge. I sort of need that bridge to starting my own venture. Will take quite some time to get going, especially because I don't have experience doing it before. Fortunately, the law of attraction, I have attracted a mentor who is helping me with that right now. And
That's
he's wonderful. He's building an empire of his own, and he is very gracious, and he's very generous with his time. He's helping me out of the goodness of his heart. He's not charging me for his mentorship.
that's wonderful. So
Uh,
I love hearing
so
that.
just,
That's cool.
I'm just attracting, law of attraction. I'm just attracting all these really helpful people like yourself, like what's happening right now, industry.
Mhm.
And I really liked my work, but I feel called to do something that has a deeper meaning, that impacts people's lives in a deeper way. And,
Such as, what are you looking to do, David? Like what? You said, yeah,
well,
impacting.
I'd like to translate my skills, and I know I'm being a bit vague, but it's because I really am open to different manifestations, different ways that it could carry out. But just in general, some of my skills are counseling, teaching, spirituality, meditation, content on LinkedIn. I'm loving that. I really am enjoying writing content. So, but I really enjoy writing. and communication. I have strong listening skills, counseling skills. I have
Mhm.
a strong interest in life, life coaching and things in that general sphere. So I would like to use my skills and translate it somehow to something related to life coaching
Mhm.
or life transformation.
So much. You are
Thank you.
too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I am introverted, but I love people. I love people. I
Mhm.
like to work with people, especially one-on-one. That's my favorite, is to be one-on-one with people. I think people are more real, and I like the intimacy and you can go deeper with people when you're one-on-one. So I like that.
You
But
can.
I really enjoy people. But then I need lots of alone time. I thrive on alone time. Recharges my battery. I'm especially interested in spiritual awakening or personal
Okay.
transformation, because
Mhm.
that's what I have been going through in the last several years. Spiritual awakening is an ongoing, lifelong process, I think, but the last 4 years or so have been an accelerated spiritual awakening for me. And I think I could help a lot of people in their own process and in their own transformation process.
Mhm.
And it's funny that you should talk about the Great Resignation,
Yes. Yes.
because that is, I I would love to be, that's another thing that when it comes to potential job opportunities, I would love to be involved in something that is bringing about social change,
Mhm.
social progress. I would love to be involved in, could be working for the government, uh, in helping to bring about world transformation, global transformation, global progress, uh, and a paradigm shift. And I think that the pandemic is sparking a global paradigm shift, I think. And the Great Resignation is a symptom of that. It's an aspect of something bigger that's going on. The pandemic has awakened us to what really matters in life. What, you know, at the end of the day, does it matter that I'm wearing whatever designer's jeans? Does that really matter? We're starting to figure it out, like what really matters and what doesn't. And the pandemic has awakened us to that. There's a lot of blessings that have come from the pandemic,
I
and
agree.
that's one of them. And I think we're on the cusp of a, a a global transformation. That's another thing about this pandemic, is it's not, oh, that's in Africa, that doesn't affect me, or oh, that's in Iraq, that doesn't affect me.
It's everywhere.
Everybody is being affected by this. And the pandemic is making us aware how interconnected we are. The world is a much smaller place now because of transportation and communication, and the world is a much smaller place. We know it from LinkedIn, that I'm talking to people in Canada, I'm talking to people everywhere, in India, everywhere,
Mhm.
um, and connecting with them. We're just interconnected, and we see it now, and we're experiencing it now more than ever. And so I would love to be involved in work that facilitates that paradigm shift into something where we reevaluate everything, how we do business, how we view our borders between countries, and the divisions that I want us to usher in a world where we are united, that we recognize that we're really all one human race, that we're all one, and that these borders between countries were drawn by man killing one another. And that's how those lines were drawn, that those borders between countries don't exist in God's eyes. Those are not, those those don't exist in God's eyes. We're all children of God. And if we could learn to view each other that way, if we could understand our common humanity. At this point of my life, my greatest interest is spirituality. And, you know, uh, I'm, it's less about business. It's
Mhm.
about the bigger spiritual picture for me. So
Mhm.
it's less about, I want to, I like enhancing the customer experience. I like that. But I'm kind of thinking bigger. I'm kind of thinking more big picture. Talent, that's what the Great Resignation is people are recognizing their worth, and they
But you are.
recognize their value, and they're going to work for someone who also appreciates their worth and their value. And so companies are going to lose those good employees if they don't get with the program, if they don't wake up,
And they are.
and they're going to be left behind. And so what they're going to be left with are the worst employees,
And
and
it's
the worst
happening.
employees are going to create the worst customer experiences. And then your customers are going to walk, they're going to send their business, they're going to take their business elsewhere.
Somewhere else.
And so, it's at the end of the day, it's really quite simple. If your employees are happy, they're going to create great experiences for the customer. And then if your customers are happy, that's revenue. You're going to be making lots of money. And so it's really simple. And yet so few companies get it. They make decisions based on money. They're short-sighted in the decisions that they make. They're so focused on short-term profitability, and they forget, they lose sight of the big picture.
And I've already picked up what I would really love to hear more from you on, and I'll send it to you. David, thank you so much today.
Thank you, Marlene.
Okay, we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, David.
Take care.